What would people say you were always doing? What are you always doing? Would people say they're always encouraging? Would people say, man, they always griping about something? Would they say, man, that person, they're always finding fault in people? Or would they say, man, I love her. She always sees the best in people. Or, Daddy's always working. Or, they're always on their phone scrolling through social media. What would people say you're always doing? They did a study with 100 teenagers, and they asked 100 teenagers this question right here. What is your goal in life? 54 of them said that their goal was to be a YouTube star. They wanted to be a celebrity. Self-promoting. Basically, here's what they're saying. I want to be the GOAT. I want to be the GOAT. How many knows what the GOAT means? Greatest of all time. I want to be the GOAT. That is what they're saying. This is what our culture teaches. It teaches us to be the GOAT. The problem with this is that Jesus teaches the opposite. Jesus teaches the opposite of self-promotion. This is what Jesus says. If you want to follow me, then you must die to yourself. You must pick up your cross and follow me. Jesus also said, if you want to be the greatest, then you must become the servant. Let's read it. Matthew 23, if we can pull that up. Verse 11, he said this, the greatest among you must be what? A servant. If you want to follow Christ, we're not called to self-promotion. God called us to be servants. Serving isn't something that we just do. It's an action that reflects who we are. What are you always doing? What are you doing? There's a powerful story that I want to share with you real quick in the book of Acts. And this story is about someone who was caught always doing something. Let's pull it up, Acts chapter 9. It says, there was a believer in Joppa named Tabitha, which in Greek means Dorcas. Now, I don't know if y'all understand this or not. I don't know where y'all have to help me, because last week I had a crazy name too, a man by the name of Annas, okay? And now I've got a woman up here by the name of Dorcas. Clearly, we understand their parents had no love for them, okay? But what does it say? She was always doing kind things for others and helping the poor. What was she always doing? Let me give you a little backstory of exactly what Tabitha did. Tabitha would make clothes, and she would feed and take care of the poor, the widows. She'd done this, and she'd done it so well, and people said this multiple times. Look at this woman, what she's always doing. She's being selfless. Her work was so important that when she died, God used Peter to raise her from the dead because her work was so important. And then when he did that, revival broke out in the whole city. This is how powerful this woman's ministry was. Instead of her being selfish, she was always caught serving. Serving isn't something that we do. It's an action that reflects who we are. And who are we? We are a servant of the Most High God. And whenever we serve others, we are serving Christ. Jesus says this. He says, there's going to come a day when the Son of Man will step into glory and be seated on the throne. He'll gather all the people. On the right, he'll separate the sheep. And on the left, he'll put the goats. And the goats will say, wait a minute, Jesus. Why are you separating us from the people on the right? We went to church every week. I even put on my Facebook status that I'm a Christian. Hey, I even gave money in the offering. But Jesus will look at them and say, but I didn't know you. You were so focused on self-promotion and letting people see what you do that you forgot to know who I was. Then he looked at the sheep on the right and he said, well done, my good and faithful servants. Because when I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you came and visited me. Then the sheep said, dang, Jesus, we appreciate that, but when did we offer you something to drink? When were you hungry and we fed you? When were you naked and we gave you clothes? And when were you in prison and we came to visit you? Then Jesus looked at the sheep and said, when you done it to the least of them, you done it to me.